stop for a second, because this might hit harder than you expect. If you've ever felt like you're doing everything right with a woman, saying the right things, being respectful, putting in effort, and still somehow ending up ignored, replaced, or slowly pushed away, you're not crazy. But you are missing something, and it's not what you think. Because the truth is, most men don't fail with women because they lack effort. They fail because their effort is working against them. Read that again. The very thing you believe should make her more attracted to you is often the exact thing that quietly turns her off. And the worst part? Nobody tells you this. Instead, you're told to try harder, be more attentive, be more available, show more interest. So you do. You text first, you check in, you compliment, you make time, you show consistency, and for a moment, it feels like it's working. She responds, she smiles, she engages. But then something shifts. Her energy changes. Her replies slow down. She becomes distant, without a clear reason. And you're left stuck in your own head asking, what changed? Because from your side, you gave more, you tried more, you cared more. So why did it start falling apart right when you leaned in? I'm Dr. Elena Hart, a relationship psychologist, and for the past 15 years, I've studied one uncomfortable truth that most men never fully understand. Attraction doesn't reward effort the way you think it does. On this channel, we break down the psychology behind attraction, emotional connection, and the hidden dynamics that decide whether a woman moves closer or slowly pulls away. So if you're tired of guessing, if you're tired of feeling like you're always one step behind, then subscribe now. Because what you're about to hear will change how you see every interaction you've had up until this point. Here's the shift you need to understand. A woman is not measuring how much you do for her. She's responding to how your presence makes her feel. And those two things are not the same. Because effort, when it comes from the wrong place, doesn't feel attractive. It feels heavy. It feels like pressure. It feels like something she has to respond to, instead of something she naturally wants to move toward. And the moment your effort starts creating pressure, attraction doesn't grow. It starts to fade, quietly, subtly, but very real. And once you see this clearly, you'll start realizing something uncomfortable. Most of what you've been taught to do was never designed to create attraction in the first place. It was designed to make you feel like you were doing something right. And that's exactly where the problem begins. Let's go deeper into the mistake that destroys attraction, without you even realizing it. You've been taught that effort equals value, that the more you give, the more she'll appreciate you, that if you show consistency, attention, and care, she'll naturally feel closer to you. And logically, that makes sense, because in most areas of life, effort works. You work harder, you get results. You invest more, you gain more. But attraction doesn't follow that system. In fact, it often works in the opposite direction. Because attraction is not built on what you give, it's built on what she feels. And here's where everything starts to break. When your effort comes from a place of wanting something back, approval, validation, reassurance, she feels it. Not as a thought, but as a subtle emotional pressure. It shows up in small ways. The way you wait for her reply, the way your mood shifts based on her response, the way you try to keep the conversation alive, even when it's fading. And those small signals add up. Because now your presence doesn't feel neutral anymore. It feels like it needs something. And the moment she feels that, her mind starts pulling back. Not because you did something wrong, but because something about the interaction stopped feeling free. This is what most men never understand. Attraction needs space. Not distance in a physical sense, but emotional space. The freedom for her to feel something without being pulled toward it. And when your effort starts filling that space, trying to guide it, control it, secure it, it removes the very thing attraction depends on. Think about it like this. When you're constantly giving, checking, and trying, you're not allowing the interaction to breathe. You're managing it. And the more you manage it, the less natural it becomes. That's why she may still respond. She may still talk. She may still engage on the surface. But underneath, something has already started to disconnect. Because attraction doesn't grow in effort that feels heavy, it grows in moments that feel effortless. And the moment your presence starts feeling like work to her, even in the smallest way, she begins to step back. Slowly, quietly, but consistently. Now here's the part that most men completely miss, and it's the reason everything feels confusing. Attraction doesn't disappear because of one big mistake. It fades because of small emotional signals, repeated over time. Signals you don't even realize you're sending. Because from your side, you think you're showing interest, but from her side, she starts feeling something else. Predictability. And this is where things quietly start to fall apart. At first, she was curious about you. She didn't fully understand you. She didn't know exactly how you felt. There was a sense of discovery, and that curiosity created emotional movement. But the more you tried to lock things in, the more predictable you became. You replied fast every time. You agreed with her opinions. You made yourself constantly available. And slowly, without noticing, you removed the uncertainty. Now here's the truth most people won't say. Attraction needs a small level of uncertainty to stay alive. Not confusion, not insecurity, but a sense that you are not fully predictable, not fully controlled by the outcome. Because when everything becomes too certain, her emotional system relaxes in the wrong way, not into comfort, but into neutrality. And neutrality is where attraction dies. This is why you'll often hear things like, "I don't know, something just changed. I feel like we lost the spark." But nothing obvious happened. No argument, no mistake, just a gradual shift. From curiosity to certainty, from emotional tension to emotional flatness. And most men respond to this the wrong way. They try to fix it by giving more attention, more effort, more reassurance. But that only makes the problem worse. Because now you're doubling down on the very thing that removed attraction in the first place. This is the hidden trap. The moment you feel her pulling away, your instinct is to move closer. But that instinct is exactly what pushes her further. Because instead of restoring emotional space, you eliminate it completely. And without that space, there is no room for attraction to rebuild itself. There is no room for her to feel anything on her own. Everything becomes too available, too clear, too controlled. And when that happens, she doesn't feel pulled toward you anymore. She simply feels done. So what's the shift? What's the one change that flips everything without you needing to play games or pretend to be someone else? It's this. You stop trying to create attraction and you start removing the behaviors that are quietly killing it. Because attraction doesn't need to be forced, it needs space to appear. And that space only exists when you're not trying to control the outcome. Right now, most of your actions are tied to a result. You text, hoping she replies a certain way. You say something, hoping she reacts a certain way. You show interest, hoping she gives it back. And that constant hoping creates tension inside you, even if you don't show it directly. And that tension leaks out, in your timing, in your tone, in your energy. She feels it, not consciously, but emotionally. Because your presence is no longer neutral, it's attached. And attachment, when it's felt too early or too strongly, creates pressure. Now here's what changes everything. You start showing up without needing a specific outcome. You text because you want to, not because you need a reply. You speak because you mean it, not because you want to impress. You engage because you enjoy the moment, not because you're trying to secure something. That shift seems small, but it completely changes how you are experienced. Because now your presence feels lighter, more relaxed, more real. There's no pressure behind it, no hidden agenda. And that's what allows her to lean in naturally. Because she doesn't feel like she's being pulled, she feels like she has space. Space to think, space to feel, space to choose. And choice is where attraction lives. Not in control, not in effort, but in freedom. This is why men who stop chasing reactions often get better responses. because they are no longer creating emotional weight in the interaction. They're not trying to manage how she feels. They're simply present. And presence, when it's calm, grounded, and not reaching for anything, is one of the most attractive states you can have because it signals something rare. I'm okay, regardless of the outcome. And that kind of energy changes everything. Now, here's where most men fail. Even after they understand everything you've just heard, they get it intellectually. They realize they were trying too hard. They understand they were creating pressure. They see how their effort was working against them. And for a short time, they change. They pull back a little. They try to be more relaxed. They stop over-texting. But then something happens. She takes longer to reply. Her energy feels slightly off. There's a moment of silence, a gap, a delay, and instantly, they fall back into old patterns. They start thinking again. Did I do something wrong? Is she losing interest? Should I say something? And without realizing it, they go right back to chasing the outcome. This is the real problem. Not that you don't understand attraction, but that you don't trust the space, because space feels risky. When you stop controlling the interaction, you feel like you might lose it. So your instinct is to step back in and fix it. But attraction doesn't rebuild through control. It rebuilds through emotional consistency. And consistency doesn't mean constant action. It means stable presence. You don't react to every small change. You don't chase every dip in energy. You don't try to correct every silence. You allow moments to exist without interference. And that's uncomfortable at first, because you're used to managing everything. But the moment you stop managing, you start creating something much more powerful. Trust. Not the kind you ask for, the kind she feels, because your behavior becomes predictable in a different way. Not predictable as in always available, but predictable as in emotionally stable. You don't spike when things go well. You don't drop when things feel uncertain. You stay grounded. And that grounded presence creates safety. Not boring safety, but emotional safety. The kind where she doesn't feel pressure. The kind where she can come closer without resistance. Because she knows you're not going to suddenly shift, chase, or collapse into neediness. And that's what keeps attraction alive over time. Not effort, not perfection, but emotional stability that doesn't break under uncertainty. Now bring everything together, because this is where most men finally see the truth clearly. You were never losing because you didn't do enough. You were losing because you were doing too much, in the wrong way. Too much effort tied to an outcome, too much attention seeking a reaction, too much focus on her, and not enough stability within yourself. And that imbalance is what she feels. Not your words, not your intentions, your state. Because at the end of the day, attraction is not something she decides, it's something she experiences, moment by moment. And every time your presence feels like it needs something, her system pulls back. But every time your presence feels grounded, calm, and complete on its own, something different happens. She leans in. Not because you convinced her, but because she wants to. This is the shift that changes everything. You stop trying to be the man who gets her, and you become the man who doesn't need to. Not in a cold or distant way, but in a way that says, I'm already whole, and I'm choosing to be here. That energy is rare, because most men are operating from lack, trying to prove something, trying to earn something, trying to secure something. But the moment you drop that, you create space. And in that space, attraction has room to grow naturally, without pressure, without force, without effort that feels heavy. This is why some men seem effortless. It's not that they're doing more, it's that they're not interfering with what's already there. They're not overthinking every moment. They're not reacting to every shift. They're not chasing every signal. They're present, steady, unmoved by small changes. And that creates something powerful, consistency of experience. She knows what it feels like to be around you, and that feeling is what she keeps coming back to. So if you take one thing from this, let it be this. Stop asking how to make her feel something. Start becoming someone who doesn't disrupt the feeling that's already trying to form. Because attraction doesn't need your effort to exist. It only needs you to stop getting in its way. And the moment you truly understand that, you stop chasing women. And you become the man they naturally move toward.